Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcasts with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello and welcome to Future Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Juliette Lamar, and joining us today, we have two guests. We have Marc Bookman. He's the founder and CEO at OPU Labs, and we have Rod Turner. He's the founder and CEO of Manhattan Street Capital. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and start off. Marc, you can give us a little insight into what you're up to at OPU Labs.
Sure. Thank you very much. This is Marc Bookman here, and we're building a platform to, we believe, evolve the quality of skincare services that are out there right now. And it's an AI-based and blockchain technology, and it'll have applications that run on both Android and iOS. And allow a consumer to use their smartphone to track their skin and to monitor how well products they're using are actually working. And then it gives them a way to then connect directly to doctors and advisors through the application and join programs which will allow them to evaluate how well and the quality of those services. So it's pretty exciting. We're bringing a lot of new technologies together here to try to deliver some new ways for people to manage skincare.
That is fantastic and so interesting. This is something that I didn't even know that I needed, but now I'm thinking, absolutely. You buy a different kind of skincare treatment or whatever it is that you're working on with your skin. And it's hard to tell if it's going to be working because sometimes results take weeks. And in that case, you're so used to looking at your own face, you're not really going to be a good judge of whether or not it's working properly.
That's exactly right. And we got into this through actually the advertising side. And we spent a lot of time doing product advertising. We saw skincare advertising on mobile devices being very, very good in terms of the business side of it. The data looked really, really good. So we got deeper and deeper into this. But then the feedback from consumers was really surprising. People saying, "Well, look, I saw your ads, but I have no idea what to buy," or the regulations in a lot of countries on the advertising makes it very difficult to actually talk about what your product really does. And a lot of these new products are very technical, so the consumer doesn't really understand, what these ingredients are, or whether they'll have an allergic reaction, et cetera. So there needs to be an objective way to judge, sort of like a consumer reports of skincare in some sense, to see, hey, does this product really work for someone like me? How does this product perform in the market? And what do other people think about it? And so that's what we're trying to bring is that data together to make it much easier for people to get objective information.
So I guess now I'm going to go into how does it work? Do you enter in, you take pictures of your face, you enter in your product. Walk us through the user experience.
Sure. So the analysis engine is based on neural network technology, which will take a snap of the face. Has to be a decent resolution on the camera. So all the new smartphones in the last 2 years or so are fine. Some of the older cameras might be too low in terms of the resolution. But assuming you have a fairly decent camera on your phone, you take the photo. The neural network will do the analysis, and we've trained the neural network to be able to identify certain conditions, so wrinkles, hyperpigmentation, acne, etc. We have 4 conditions that we recognize now, and we have more that we're working on. It will then build a map, make a rating for what the level of the condition is, and then provide a very detailed report to the user that shows the analysis. From there, using barcode scanning technology, you'll be able to snap in very easily the products that you're using for the different conditions, and then very simply take a couple photos or one or two photos a day going forward, and the system then will start to monitor your treatment programs that you're using.
And that is so fantastic. And can it also, you're showing this app, your skincare routine. Will this app also potentially give you alternatives to say, hey, if you tried this would be good for your skin type and condition?
Exactly. So our goal is to provide the data that shows how products that someone like you is using and how well they've performed. And so then you can make choices on your own as to which products you want to use. However, I think, as we all know, AI technology is useful for certain things, but there's certain things you wouldn't want to go to a hospital right now and have a computer with a robot and an AI application do surgery on you, obviously. And so maybe 300 years from now, or maybe it's sooner, I don't know, we'll trust the AI to do surgery on us. Here, too, at some point, you're going to want to consult with a skincare advisor or a doctor to talk about your condition. The recommendations we can make will be of certain quality, and someone who knows quite well what they want can make those decisions. But then, in addition to saying, here are products that will work for your conditions, we'll also say, here are advisors and doctors you can speak to who treat those conditions or who are near you, who are available online. And then we'll make those connections so that you can then chat and have guidance from those experts.
That is fantastic. So specific and so customizable for the person. Do you have to take photos of your face every day, or what kind of commitment do you need for this to work accurately?
It doesn't have to be every day. It's probably a good idea to do it daily. The different skincare programs for different conditions will work at different rates. Some will work very quickly, 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, you'll see differences. Others might take 3 or 4 or 5 days or a couple of weeks before you'll see the actual effects. So I think it'll depend on the conditions, but we'll probably recommend at least once a day to take a photo. Every couple of days will be fine too.
It's such a fantastic and interesting app to use. I'm thinking about how I'm going to download it just right away, because it's something I think a lot of people could potentially use. And even the idea of AI possibly being able to detect, maybe early skin cancer or whatnot, if it's on your face and neck area, that might be included. So I guess moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years, what are some of the things that you see happening for OPU Labs?
Well, 3 to 5 in this industry, in this market, 3 to 5 years. When we talk about product development, is way out there, and so we're thinking next 6 to 18 months, quite a bit.
Okay.
But I'll answer both time horizons. So short term, what we're thinking is in terms of right now 4 or 5 conditions that we recognize. We want to add more conditions. We want to add more data. We want to be able to allow, once we have the user community with the data together, we want to expand the number of experts, as well as allow marketers and researchers to use the platform to communicate with the consumer. And that's why we're adopting blockchain technology, because as we all know, there's a big movement now towards consumers wanting to protect and own their personal information, even if it's being shared with online platforms. And blockchain is perfect to help with this, because with the blockchain we can track where this information comes from and how it's used very easily, as well as compensate consumers for the use of this information. So part of our philosophy here is that this information that the consumer is generating with our application is very personal, very sensitive. They own it, and it doesn't get shared with anyone without their permission, as well as doesn't get shared without compensating them when we do share it. And so the kinds of programs that we're interested in would be brands developing a new product. They need to test this product with a large number of people. So it have to be very specific types of skin conditions, age, geography, et cetera. It could be income level because it's an expensive product, or it's targeted at mass market, so they want a certain type of person. We'll have all that data, and it'll become very, very easy for the brand to test the product. There are also lots of surveys and lots of things that marketers want to know from consumers, and we'll have our consumers ready to help them and answer the survey. So those are the things in the next 12 months, 18 months that we'll be rolling out on the platform. Going forward, long term, yes, I think the AI is going to get smarter and smarter. The data, the size of the data is going to be growing. And so there's going to be, so the big data side of this is going to become dominant, I think, going forward, is how do we analyze all this data? How do we train the AI engines with such a huge amount of data? And that's something that we're also working on, trying to figure out more scalable ways to organize the data and to train the AI. Those are the big challenges going forward.
So where can people get this app and start using it, and does it cost anything?
The app is completely free for the user to download and use, get the basic level service. And so when it comes time to buy products or sign up for consultation, obviously there'll be fees and charges for those things. And then we'll also have the marketing side of the platform. So we'll charge brands and others for research and data when they join the platform.
Fantastic. So moving into, I know that you have an initial coin offering happening currently. Would you like to speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we're using the blockchain to compensate consumers to help protect their information, and we'll use it as the currency, so to speak, for all the marketing and advertising programs. And then we provide rewards. So when a consumer downloads the app going forward, they sign up on the web, create a new account, we'll reward them for setting up the account, sharing their first images, et cetera, inviting their friends to the app. So all those things we can provide rewards for. And we're using an Ethereum-based token to do this. So it made a lot of sense for us once we realized that we could build this rewards program and have a payment system running on the blockchain that we do an initial coin offering. And we literally just started the process here about a week ago. We opened it up and we just started.
Such a very exciting token ecosystem to be a part of. I'm looking at it here on your website. And I think this might be where Rod comes into this initial coin offering space and maybe helping. I know you guys were touching up before we started about regulations and really how those have affected all ICOs around the country and around the world. So if you want to speak a little bit about that, potentially, Rob, you can take this one.
Sure, yes. This is Rod Turner. I'm the president of Manhattan Street Capital. And so we are focused on making offerings and helping companies like Marc's Opu Labs make its offering successfully, and in particular with initial coin offerings, because the whole blockchain phenomenon and ICOs took off very quickly around the world without much regulation, with really very little regulation at all. And as the regulators have got involved and as people have sort of wised up to what regulations apply to initial coin offerings or ICOs, now it's a more clear-cut situation in the U.S., which makes it more difficult for ICOs to take place here. So one of the things that my company does is bring the expertise and the knowledge of the regulations to make it easy for people to invest in the Opu Labs ICO, but have the capital raising process done in a way that complies with the SEC regulations, so that we're properly protecting U.S. investors. and coordinating it in a way with Opu Labs, with Marc and his team, so that we can make this work as effectively as possible as an ICO using the regulations which already exist. And, frankly, they weren't designed around initial coin offerings. They weren't designed around tokens and the blockchain. So there is some adaptation and a lot of innovation needed in that. So we do those things in order to help initial coin offerings from outside the U.S. and inside the U.S. comply properly with the regulations. And I'm really pleased to be working with Marc because he's put a heck of a lot of thought into his company, and the thoroughness with which he's designed his blockchain solution and the software and what it does and how broadly appealing it is in the app form. It's actually really impressive. The deeper you look, the more you find. You know what I mean? I like that. Plus, his experience he's an experienced, seasoned entrepreneur, and that brings a lot of credibility as well as increases the likelihood of a very successful full outcome. And I want to mention here that Marc's ICO is a worldwide phenomenon. My company, Manhattan Street Capital, is involved just in the U.S. portion of that. So people around the world can use the Opu app, and that makes it even more compelling because the more people using it, the better the results.
Oh, absolutely. And when it is following all the regulations and you have put a lot of thought into it, you're just going to have a better, more useful product where people are not going to be confused. They're not going to feel as though they are involved in something that they can't control. And I love that this product is giving back to the people, saying, if we do use your information, you will be compensated for that. And you can be a part of then our ecosystem.
Absolutely. That's a core goal of ours.
Yeah, I love that your company has many core goals and services and is sticking by those in this time where a lot of things are up in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we got a lot of feedback from consumers, we did a lot of focus groups, and we heard very early on from consumers, "Oh, I'm going to take a picture of my face, and I don't have makeup on. It's in the morning. Are you going to protect this information?" We heard that right away. And so from the very beginning, so how we protect it and then how the data is used, became very important. And so the opposite of that, especially in Asia, the opposite of, are you going to protect my photo, is I love getting free stuff. I want to share my photos and show my progress with my friends. Some people want to do that on social media. Some would never do that on social media. So the app has to take into account all the different preferences and privacy, as well as sort of social media, tendencies that people have. So we knew right away that was going to be a real.
Absolutely. It is so funny how people are very strongly in one camp or the other about their information, about their personal image when used in such a way. So it's great that you are really hypersensitive to that.
Absolutely. Well, you have to be for this application.
Mm-hmm. So if people want to get involved with the ICO that's happening or they want to get involved with OPU Labs and download the app, what is the best way to connect?
Yes, so for U.S. investors, they should go to manhattanstreetcapital.com and just look on the home page and see prominently displayed the Opu Labs offering. And then I think, Marc, you want to mention your page, probably?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the homepage, the main page, the official page for the ICO is ico.opu.ai, and from there you can go either there's a button for U.S. purchasers. You click that, you go to Rod's site, and if you're not in the U.S., then you click register, and you can join from there. It's a fairly easy process. Almost all the countries in the world want require, shall we say, someone doing an ICO to check that user's identification, check for anti-money laundering concerns, and once that's done, then they're able to participate from there. So we're doing that outside the U.S. for all countries, and Rod does that in the U.S. on his site.
Yes, and we're also doing The U.S. investors must be accredited investors, basically wealthy, and so we do that check as well. That's a part of the process that we were describing earlier. But a big part of it is making it easy too. So just because we're following the regulations doesn't mean that it has to be difficult for the investor. So we make it easy. It doesn't have to be a long process. It's a short one.
Short and painless. Well, Rod and Marc, thank you so much for joining us here today on Future Tech Podcast and telling us all about this really exciting app that I'm definitely going to go download, and about the ICO and your viewpoints on that. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Juliet.
Thanks,
Cheers.
That is Marc Bookman and Rod Turner. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Future Tech Podcast. This has been Juliet Lamar. We'll catch you guys later.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.